My name is Misti Bruceri, and I am here today representing the REACH Codes program that the utilities run. I am the coordinator for the programs. And now that Will has covered all the new code features, I'm going to talk about some options for how we can amend them. Local governments are required to adopt the new building code each cycle. And so in addition to that, any amendments that are made to the building code also have to be readopted and reference the new code. And so if you have an existing ordinance now that references either the Energy Code Part 6 or CalGreen, you have to update it for the new standards. Some of the police powers and health and safety ones do not fall under the building standards. So they have a different requirements. Lastly, the Energy Code amendments also have to be cost effective. And so one of the services that the utility programs provide, one of the main services, is to do that cost effectiveness analysis. The analysis can be very complex and expensive. And so one of the things we do is we try to do this analysis statewide so that any jurisdiction can use it. And that way we avoid that repetition at every city having to hire somebody and then redo that basically same analysis. So that is one of the main services that we provide. And we're starting to work on that now. And we anticipate that the measure package types are going to be the same as they have been, focusing on efficiency, electrification, and renewables, also on demand flexibility. But at this point, with all of the changes to the code, we're not quite sure about the specifics yet. And so that information is going to be forthcoming. We will be focusing on all electric designs, though there will be, some mixed fuel opportunities. And so we've been working with BayREN and Barry and Amy Ryder as well on the draft request. And so that has enabled us to set up a tentative timeline for these studies. And what we believe at this time is that we will have draft results for public review in March or April of next year, and final reports by June and July. We try to publish the actual results before the report so that you can actually use the information while we're wrapping up the report. You don't have to wait for us to finish the documentation.
Misty, real quick, so some folks are saying that the slides are cut off on the left side of the screen. I don't know if there's a way to fix that on your end.
I am not sure, but hold on just a minute. Let me try something. Apologize for that. It's full screen on mine. So did that help at all?
No, it looks like it's still the same.
Okay. Should we switch over to you, Kellen?
Oh, that.
Well, that took it that way. Let's see. I'll try one more time. Is that better?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Okay.
That's great.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Sorry about that. Not sure why it did that. Okay. So I was just going to move on. One caveat I have about the timeline is that this timeline is pretty solid for res and non-residential analyses, but the changes to the multifamily structure are very, very significant in this cycle and require a lot of infrastructure that's being developed in parallel with these analyses. So though the timing on that is a little bit tricky. And so we are aware of that and are trying to work with the CEC and others to make sure that we can get the multifamily results out in time also. Okay, so new construction. As Will noted, pretty much most occupancies now, not all, have at least one heat pump in their baseline. And when we say that, I'm just going to back up just a little bit because the standards are generally structured under a kind of a performance basis. And so it allows the builder to choose how they meet the requirements and gives them different options. The baseline effectively sets an energy budget, and the proposed project has to come in under that. And so if a measure is more efficient than the baseline, you get a compliance credit. If it's less efficient, it's a compliance penalty, and you have to do something else to make up for that. ultimately it's one specification and you have to meet that performance specification. In this case, if all else being equal, when you switch from having one end use be electric or heat pump to adding the other and go to an all electric design, you automatically exceed the code. The heat pumps are going to come in, quote unquote, under budget every time. They're more efficient and they also have the emissions reductions. And so you automatically exceed the code there. And so although there's some controls in the code to limit this, it does present an opportunity to reduce the efficiency in another area because of the performance structure. And so that's something that we need to take care of and we need to just kind of keep an eye on, because we don't want to really, especially in like single family homes, we don't want to compromise the envelope or reduce the efficiency or insulation of the envelope. A well insulated, sealed envelope is very important for resilience purposes and also lowers bills, which, you know, it reduces the energy burden. So this is, those of you that know me, it's my usual. I know that decarbonization is our main goal, but as part of that, efficiency actually plays a really important role. The CEC recently held several workshops about their plans for decarbonization. And this was one slide that Ken Ryder presented. And it shows that we have about a 20% reduction if we electrify and include efficiency. And so that is really significant, and it results in about a $2 billion annual reduction in bills. So while it's not the main focus, it still remains very important. Still the cheapest, cleanest electricity is the kWh we don't use. And also with our not entirely new, but newer focus on some of the embodied energy and carbon in many of these products, we certainly don't want to build products and capacity that we don't need. So it's still important to keep things as efficient as possible. Okay, so a little bit more information on the different occupancy types. For single family new construction, our focus, like I said, will be on all electric designs. And we'll look at a combination of measures as well as individual measures, just adding just PV and storage, just electrifying, things like that. As I noted, when you replace gas equipment in the base case with a heat pump, you get a compliance credit, not only for the hourly source energy, which is the metric Will was just talking about, the emissions metric, but also for the efficiency metric. So for those people that have an either an all electric reach code or potentially a gas band, I urge you to consider an EDR2 requirement so that you actually realize all the savings that you can from those codes. That's the efficiency requirement. So it basically just puts a little bit more control on that. Okay, multifamily and non-res. There have been some very big changes to the base cases. We aren't entirely sure how that's going to impact the studies at this point. A lot of the studies had used PV as one of the main measures to help kind of help buy down some of the other things. And now that they'll be part of the base case, that's going to change the picture pretty dramatically. But we will be looking at a series of similar packages. They will have different individual combinations and things like that, but we will be doing efficiency and electrification and storage. So for the multifamily sector, we will be using 2 of the new prototype designs that the CEC has developed. I believe there's either 4 or 5. The 2 most common are the 3-story and a 5-story, which is mixed use. And so those are the 2 models that we will be analyzing. And the primary focus will be on that electric water heating. And then we'll also be looking a lot at optimizing on-site use. So measures that will help optimize that PV and storage for both multifamily and non-res. For non-res, we're going to be beginning with 4 occupancy types. They tend to be the most common. That would be offices, retail, small hotel, and restaurants. And again, that focus will be on optimizing that PV and storage, demand flexibility, as well as efficiency and electrification. Okay, there's a lot of discussion and many folks are now looking at existing homes. And we have a pretty good plan for new construction, but existing buildings is so much more complex, and it really creates some challenges for us to figure that out. And so many folks have asked, what are the possibilities? One of the simplest ways to do this would be to require that either HVAC or water heating be electrified when somebody replaces that equipment. Now, I'm going to just reiterate that I'm speaking from an energy code perspective at this point. In the 2019 code, we have not found that to be cost effective in pretty much any climate zone, except for in one case in SMUD territory. It's not cost effective from the individual's perspective or from the code perspective in 2019. However, 2022 TDV offers a much more credit for these measures and creates a possibility for an energy reach code. As you can see, it opens up the several climate zones for both HVAC as well as heat pump water heating. So reach codes can be structured in a number of different ways. Kind of the two most common are to specify particular measures, such as heat pumps or say PV for additions, something like that. But for existing homes, that pool of cost-effective measures is really small relative to the range of projects that we're going to see. And so the measures that we found to be cost-effective may not really be suited for the project. And so provided that you have a cost-effective path, you are actually allowed to offer other equivalent options. They have to be equivalent on an energy savings or energy cost basis. And so that allows us to open it up to other options for people to select. We wouldn't require the non-cost-effective measures, but they are available should they fit better into somebody's project. This way you can actually provide some flexibility so that you can select the most appropriate measure. And we've been working on trying to come up with a method to a structure that would allow for this wider range of options. And we actually have developed something, we've been calling it our flexible approach, that actually does open up the number of measures that you can do. And it's based on site energy savings. And because electrification measures are quite efficient relative to their gas counterparts, they score very favorably in this structure. And so it often results in a situation where you could either require somebody to change out one piece of equipment or a combination of several other measures. So they do score favorably, and it really does make them look quite attractive. So it's a way of approaching it without actually requiring it.
Misty, just a 1-minute warning.
Okay, one more slide. I'm just about there, thank you. We have actually incorporated some calculations into our cost effectiveness explorer that's at the link that you see at the bottom of the slide here, that allow you to set up this kind of a structure in just a few minutes, actually, so that you could take a look at how it might score in your jurisdiction, how the measures might kind of pan out. So if you go to that link, you could set that up. And I also wanted to just note that we will be doing a webinar on the Explorer specifically, and using the Explorer for policies in January, early January. Okay. Thank you very much. The last thing I wanted to just note is that for those jurisdiction staff on the line, we have a monthly call. I host a monthly call on reach codes specifically. And this is a really great time to become involved. If you are interested, please contact me at the email on the slide here, and I will get an invitation to you. We're just starting to talk about 2022, so it gives us an opportunity to share and network with each other. Thank you.